Could it be? Me, your me, Louie T. Welcome to the 2018 NFL Draft Prospects 101 series, your guide to some of the biggest and hottest names of the 2018 NFL Draft. We're talking running back position, and this is a very deep and rich running back draft class in 2018. Top heavy, but really good value throughout. We've got an elite prospect, the kind that kind of defines a franchise for the next decade if done correctly. And then you've got a number of backs that can be a part of a system, that can be a part of a backfield. You've got a couple more that you look at and say, man, this guy can help us in the special teams game. This guy can catch it out of the backfield. And then you've got a couple of guys that also could be primary first and second down rock toters. And so this draft offers you a lot at the running back position, but you can get all of that in one guy in this particular draft. And of course, I'm talking about Penn State running back Saquon Barkley. He's, to me, the best running back we've seen, most complete we've seen in quite some time. Best running back prospect I've seen since Adrian Peterson. And I know there's some people out there, my man Big Sean, that's going to kill me for that. He's been killing me for that because he loves Ezekiel Elliott. And there are a lot of people out there that love Zeke Elliott. I love Zeke Elliott and love watching him play the game. But I think Saquon Barkley is a little bit better than him coming out because of his ability to catch the football. But look, we're arguing over different types of apples and which one tastes better. Let's just get to the breakdown, shall we? And talk about Saquon Barkley and what makes him such a dynamic back and most likely a top 5 pick in the upcoming 2018 NFL Draft. Let's start with his pros. Obviously, speed is something that can't be taught. Either you have it or you don't. And when you have it in a 6 feet, 233 pound frame, running a 4.4 flat, I'd say that qualifies as legit game-changing speed in a grown man's body. This guy's size and speed, and that rare combination, again, which is the reason I liken him to Adrian Peterson. But again, Adrian Peterson is 6'2", he's 6 feet. So there's more of an Ezekiel Elliott comparison, especially with what Elliott was able to do in his rookie season. But nevertheless, that kind of size in that kind of body, you see this guy's lower half and you see what he's squatting, and it all makes sense to you. The explosiveness that he brings to the table, and that 4.4 should not surprise you when you look at the way Saquon Barkley's body is put together. Quickness and acceleration, again, the acceleration is ridiculous. Go to the bowl game versus USC in 2016. I mean, if you really want to see his acceleration, the first play of the second half, he gets to the outside, makes 2 ridiculous cutbacks, which show you the quickness and the vision. So we can go ahead and throw agility, vision, acceleration, quickness all into this. Because to me, that one play exudes, it's dripping, it's oozing with quickness, agility, vision, and acceleration all in one play. And so if you really want to see Saquon Barkley at its best is that particular play against USC in the bowl game. First play of the second half, he takes the ball, runs to the outside, sticks his foot in the ground, and it may even be a pass. I mean, I haven't seen the play in such a long time, but I remember that was probably the first time that I really caught wind of Saquon Barkley, and just because, you know, I was hearing all of the mumblings and grumblings about how good this guy is, and I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever. Everybody says that about every player that they really like, but when I saw that particular play, I said, God damn, this guy is ridiculous, which prompted me to watch more Saquon Barkley, and I fell even more in love with this guy's game and what he's able to bring to the table. But the 2 cutbacks and then the acceleration to hit the gas pedal and mash it to the ground and outrun everybody to the end zone, it's what this guy can bring to the table. So agility, vision, quickness, acceleration, it's all there with Saquon Barkley. It's a part of the package that you get with the best running back in this draft class. Make you miss, I call it MYM. He's got a nasty jump cut, and to me, if you want to make guys miss at the next level, probably the best weapon you can have in your arsenal is a jump cut. You know, there's guys that will give you a stiff arm because they can't give it to you laterally. They can't make you miss. They can't give you the wiggles and the shakes. So they got to give you a stiff arm. Well, this dude has a vicious, flavor delicious, poetic scripture, LaShawn McCoy type jump cut. And that's what makes guys miss at this level, because everybody's fast, guys can run, and your ability to be able to stop on a dime and jump cut and change direction is what's gonna make these guys miss. You got strong guys that when they get their hands on you, they're able to wrap you up and reel you in. Well, if I give you this jump cut, you might not even lay a finger on me. And he's got that kind of ability with his jump cut. It's nasty, and it's the kind that will leave guys in his wake. Go look at the Iowa tape. If you're looking for an example of Saquon Barkley from 2017 breaking dudes off, really, with running backs, there's usually a game. You know, last year, the guy that I was drooling over, the guy that I was bullish on was Alvin Kamara. And I told everybody that would listen to me, this guy's a first-round pick. Someone needs to take him in the first round. And I said, if you want to see Alvin Kamara in all of his splendor, turn on the 2017 or 2016 Texas A&M game, which was that last college football season for him. Turn it on and watch him against Texas A&M, and you'll get the full spectrum of what he brings to the table. Well, with Saquon Barkley, probably the Iowa game is the game that you would turn on for him if you want to see him leap over guys, stop on a dime before the sidelines, make a guy miss in incredible fashion. It's all on display in that Iowa game. He caught the football well in that game too. So he may have had a drop in there as well, but everything you're looking for from him is probably on display in that Iowa performance from 2017. So that make you miss, that jump cut, it's vicious, and that's another tool in his belt. Contact balance and yards after contact, yak. To me, Saquon Barkley is a guy that has good, not great contact balance, but it's really good. He can be really bottom heavy at times. We'll talk about that a little bit later on, because I'm a nitpick him, because I gotta find something that he can improve upon. But contact balance is still solid. I mean, the guy jumped over a defender, got hit while jumping, and didn't lose stride. I mean, who does that, right? Like, this dude is everything you're looking for, and he gets yards after contact. Trust me. Toughness and durability. I don't know of any injuries that this guy previously had. I don't ever recall seeing him leave a game due to an injury. Now, again, maybe I didn't watch enough, but it just seems like this guy's indestructible. And, you know, every now and again we get athletes, and again, in football, there's no such thing as indestructibility. But every so often we get athletes that we feel are damn near indestructible, like Larry Fitzgerald, where you're just like, does this guy ever get injured? You got to be fortunate and blessed to be able to go through an entire NFL career, no matter how long it is, whether it's 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, or 15 years. You've got to be lucky to avoid the injury bug, to avoid the injury reaper. And this guy just seems to be indestructible. Now, again, that's not a word I throw around often in NFL terms, because anything can happen. But man, does he seem like he's built for it tough to last in the league for a number of years to come. The way his body is built, his center of gravity, it's going to be tough to injure this guy. That's for certain. Receiving ability. At the combine, he made it look so effortless. I mean, he made it look so easy. And I think this is the separation between he and Ezekiel Elliott. Elliott can catch the football. He's shown us that throughout his career. Caught a screen against the Steelers in his rookie season and went 90 yards. We've seen him do it. But do you split Zeke Elliott out wide, okay, as a split end? Do you split him out into the slot and have him run routes against guys one-on-one to win with the intent on throwing the ball like a Matt Forte? No, that's not Ezekiel Elliott's game, which is something that a guy like Saquon Barkley brings to the table, which I think separates him from Ezekiel Elliott. And so that's why I think he is better than Elliott coming out of college. But again, that remains to be seen. Elliott went to a team with a beast offensive line and took full advantage of it. We'll see where Barkley goes, and we'll compare the two after each's rookie season. So we'll see how that goes. But his ability to catch it, it's outstanding, and it's a game changer because this guy can win one-on-one matchups, and you can get him the football. And in the league now, the way it's set up, isolation and one-on-one matchups, it's where it's at. And if you got a guy like Barkley that you can split out wide, which will determine matchups for you, it'll allow you to see pre-snap, okay, do we have man or is it zone? And then you can go and say, all right, well, we got man. Let's take advantage of this opportunity with linebacker versus running back or safety versus running back. However that team decides to play it, it's going to be a mismatch either way. And you take Barkley in those situations probably most times than not. So again, receiving ability, he brings that to the table as well. Pass pro, he's solid. He's not the best in this draft class, but I think he does an adequate enough job to the point where you feel comfortable enough putting him on the field in third down situations because you want to take advantage of his ability to catch it. But in order to do so, you've got to make sure that he can protect the quarterback, because of your third down duties, protecting the quarterback is number one. That is your chief responsibility as a running back on third down. You catch it after you can protect the quarterback, not vice versa. I think he can take care of the quarterback good enough. Not great, but good enough to where you don't feel like he's a liability on the field in third down situations. Awareness, we're going to talk about that later. We're going to talk about pass pro and awareness a little bit later. I gave you the pros in that situation, but I'm also going to give you a couple of cons a little bit later on as well. Stamina, snap volume. I think he does a great job of being able to take on the load and really be able to stay in the game all 3 downs. If you've got a game where you've got 75 offensive snaps, he's probably going to be able to play a good 65 of them. I mean, he really doesn't need, and in this day and age in the NFL where there's so many different backs on the roster and you've got specialized jobs for each back on the roster, there are not many backs in this league that carry and shoulder the entire workload. However, if there were ever a guy that you thought could do it, it'd be Saquon Barkley, especially in this particular draft. Versatility, and there wasn't really another guy at Penn State. So unlike some of these other guys that we're going to talk about in this draft where they were splitting carries and splitting time with another back that was up and coming, that really wasn't the case at Penn State. It was the Saquon Barkley show at Penn State, starring Saquon Barkley. He was the co-star, he was the feature star, and any supporting cast members were Saquon Barkley, and Saquon Barkley in that backfield. So for all it's worth, for all intents and purposes, he was the guy at Penn State in that backfield. Versatility, this guy, like I said, he separates himself from Ezekiel Elliott in another facet here. We talked about his ability to be a running back. Well, Ezekiel Elliott can be a dynamic running back. We talked about his ability to catch the football. I think he's a little bit better there than Ezekiel Elliott was coming out of Ohio State. And this is another place where he separates himself from Ezekiel Elliott. Ezekiel Elliott wasn't running back kickoffs for touchdowns, whereas with Saquon Barkley, this guy can take it to the house, as we saw in the Ohio State game to start that game off, right to the house. I mean, the game hadn't even started 15 seconds in, and this guy's already in the end zone off of a kickoff to start the game off. So this guy can hurt you in a number of ways. I don't know if teams are going to use him in that capacity. Maybe if they're looking for a spark, they may try them out there every once in a while, but I think his kick return days might be over with once he gets drafted. But again, we will see, depends on where he goes. But nonetheless, that's in the arsenal, and if you need it, it's there to be tapped into. And you got to love that extra added value that he gives you in the form of versatility to return kickoffs if need be. Ball security, he's had 3 career fumbles, most of them coming earlier in his career. He had none in 2017, which is music to my ears, music to everyone's ears. And so I don't think there's an issue with ball security here. But again, put it away, keep it tight, keep it locked up, keep it safe. And we got no issues, had no issues in 2017. I'm pretty sure teams and Saquon Barkley himself would like to keep it that way. Patience, I think he runs with plenty of patience, enough to get the job done. Could he be more patient in certain situations? Sure. I myself don't like to be overly critical about backs and their lack of patience or the holes that they choose to take. When we start talking vision, I think you get into a really dicey situation when you start trying to pick holes for a back. You're not in his helmet. You're not in his shoes. You don't see what he sees when he sees it. So it's hard for us being on the outside looking in. It's easy to be an armchair quarterback, or it's easy to be that guy that's watching and saying he should have went that way. But when you're in it, and if you've ever had a football helmet on, you know your vision is limited. So peripheral damn near doesn't exist. You've got to have a feel, and you've got to be able to see it. And if you don't see it, you don't see it. But I think his patience is good enough. Could he be a little bit more patient in certain situations? Sure. But I think he's got more than enough patience to allow blocks to develop, to allow guys to open up holes and then hit it much faster than slow. So patience to the hole, explode through the hole. I think he has that in his arsenal as well. And leg drive, again, looking at his legs, how could he not have leg drive? I love the fact that you can give it to a guy at the 3-yard line. He first encounters contact at the 2, powers through with the leg drive, and finds his way across the goal line for a touchdown. In this league, it gets tough in tight quarters to score touchdowns. You got to have the guys that have a nose for the end zone, that's hungry, that will not go down at first contact in short yardage situations. Barkley was the master at either getting skinny or just getting tough and powering through arm tackles in short yardage situations. 4th and 1, I need to know that my back is going to do everything in his power to pick up that 1 yard and keep the sticks moving and keep possession of the football for the offense. And so he's one of those guys that in those types of situations, you feel really good about turning around and handing the football to Saquon Barkley and knowing that he's going to get that first down or potentially that touchdown. You go to his cons. And look, really, I'm nitpicking here. I don't really have much for you. I'm gonna be honest with you. This guy is really good, and there's not a lot to nitpick from, but balance. He's very bottom heavy. So when you watch him run, he runs on his toes. If you've ever seen him run, he runs on his toes. So when you see him run, it's almost like he's running as if he's about to topple over. Watch him. You'll always watch him. He's kind of stumbling out in front of himself, arms kind of flailing. He looks like he's about to fall because he's running on his toes. He's so bottom heavy that it's almost hard for him to keep balance sometimes. How many times on tape did you watch him and he had space, but yet he slips and falls down on the ground? Because he's bottom heavy and he's running on his toes. He's running out in front of his shoulders, which is a no-no. You want to fall down, you run out in front of your shoulders and watch what happens. It's nose over toes. And a lot of times his nose is way out in front of his toes. And so instead of him having his balance to where he can do this, he's out here. And then that's when you get sometimes where he starts to kind of topple over. So again, I'm nitpicking, but balance to me is a little bit of an issue with him. I have that Clinton Portis flashback with him always falling down in Washington and how balance was an issue for him. I see the same thing with Saquon Barkley. And Portis, much like Barkley, was a very bottom-heavy runner. We'll see if that's a problem that plagues him throughout his career like it did Portis. Pass pro and awareness. Now, we name these things as pros, but they can also be cons when talking Saquon Barkley. And again, I'm nitpicking, but awareness, pass pro awareness. Okay, so when I say that, okay, say you're in a jet protection, all right, and the team is at the line of scrimmage, you're in jet protection, 2 jet protection, and that's a 6-man protection. So you as the back have to stay in and you got to block. Let's say the defense comes up and they're mugging the A-gaps, and so you're prepared to have to go pick up one of these dudes, and they look like they bringing 6, so it's going to be 6 on 6, all right? So you got to pick up one of these blitzing inside linebackers, or you got to, if they pinch the line inside, you got to pick up a defensive end on the outside. But most likely one of those guys up the A-gap is going to be your responsibility. Then those guys come out of the A-gap at the snap, they were bluffing, and it's just 4-man. Well, if you've got jet protection, you don't need to stay in as a back to help protect 4 guys with a 6-man protection. You need to get out and get into the route and give your quarterback another eligible. Now, again, in college, I don't know how it's coached up, so I'm not gonna, again, I'm nitpicking. I'm not gonna beat him up for this, right? I'm not gonna beat him up for not getting out into the route fast enough and giving his quarterback another eligible to throw the football to, okay? But at the next level, you gotta be able to diagnose that quickly. Oh, they coming with 4? We got 6? I don't need to be here. Let me get out into the route and give myself, or give my quarterback an available target and allow my quarterback to see me out in front. So if he has nothing down the field, maybe he's confused himself by the protection and the look that he got pre-snap. And maybe he thought he had something that he didn't. And so now I need to be there as an outlet to him to get this 4 on 1st and 10 and make it 2nd and 6 instead of 2nd and 10. So it's those types of plays that I want to see him improve at. But again, I'm nitpicking. That's that college stuff. You don't know what he's being taught to do. You don't know what he's being asked to do. So I'm gonna leave it at that. But in any event, Saquon Barkley's the man. I'm here to tell you that. If you didn't know, now you know. Saquon Barkley's the man. He's the best running back in this draft class by far. And the rating that I gave him bears that out. Go check out the rating for him and every other player that I break down on LouieTNetwork.net and check out what he received and kind of put that up against his peers and maybe up against the rest of the 2018 NFL draft class as well. But that's Saquon Barkley in his 2018 Draft Prospects 101 breakdown. If it happens in the National Football League, you know your man Louie T's got you covered. And remember, we changing the game over here, period. I got more running backs, plenty more running backs to come. So don't you go anywhere. I'll see you next time. Have a good one.